Welcome to the Celebrate Brave podcast, a podcast for women in and around the tech industry. Every week, we dive into the conversations, frameworks, and best practices to help you stress less, work less, and earn a lot more. My name is Nicole Steinbach, your host and the International Bravery Coach for Women in Tech. Let's go. Welcome there. Thank you for sharing your time with me as we continue the Build Your Brave Framework 2.0 deep dive. We are deep to the framework. We're in accountability, and today we're going to talk about crucial conversations, sometimes called difficult or hard conversations, sometimes called important conversations, but for us, we're going to call them crucial conversations. So the Build Your Brave framework has 3 parts. And if you're just joining us now, make sure you go back and listen to the holistic overview episode, but also into the various frameworks I've shared with you all season 3 long. The 3 parts of the Build Your Brave framework are clarity, represented by the sentence, I set clear, specific goals and share them with people. Part 2, momentum. I spend just as much time feeling my way to success as I do working towards it. And part 3, accountability. I choose who I want to become and do the work to become her. And like I said, we're in accountability. And remember, accountability of self, not control over others and pretending that's accountability. So today, about crucial conversations. So, when do you need crucial conversations? This is, for example, you feel misunderstood or ignored, dismissed when there's a disagreement. Crucial conversations also come into play when you want to move forward and either there is no conversation, the conversation isn't working, or the conversation just sort of spins and spins and spins, and it's actually being effective. I recommend that crucial conversations take place between 2 people, yourself and one other. However, there are times when these become group conversations. Now, one massive caveat here. Crucial conversations are not, N-O-T, not, for abusive or toxic situations. You do not enter into a crucial conversation when someone is routinely sexually harassing you, behaving in racist manners, discriminating against you, making fun of you, all kinds of things, gaslighting you. This is not what we're talking about here. There are times to not have conversation. Something that I work with for many of my clients, unfortunately. We are talking about situations, topics, systems, dynamics that need a structure to move forward. And if you need help identifying if something is toxic or ineffective, you need to reach out and have a conversation with me. All right. Or listen to the earlier podcast episode about being overworked and underpaid, how we've been normalizing that which is unacceptable because what is common does not mean that it's normal. So let's talk about what crucial conversations actually are. So crucial conversation, as I mentioned, It's a very simple framework. It's based on patterns of neuroscience and sociology and psychology. This is something that's used very frequently in, for example, group therapy and group dynamics, organizational development, etc. There are some fantastic materials out there if you want to go even further into this, but here's what you need to know. So, crucial conversations have just a few steps. The first step is always appreciation. The second step is context and understanding. The third step is either request or an expectation. And the fourth step is some sort of question to elicit discussion and dialogue. To help make this make sense, I'm going to role play. This example is going to be for a manager or someone who is managing inside of a project. This can be a product manager, a project manager, an HR representative, a sales, basically anybody who's leading an effort and working with somebody else. So here we go. Thank you for coming to this conversation. I appreciate your time and your attention. This conversation is really important because I've been noticing a delay in your deliverables that are impacting others. For example, every Thursday, we have to have a complete report submitted by 4 p.m. European Central Time to ensure finance can confirm the availability. Unfortunately, in the past month, 3 times you haven't met the target. What I really want to do, my request for this meeting, is to clarify, are there obstacles for your deliverable? And leave this conversation with a shared understanding that moving forward, your report will be available every single week before deadline. How does that sound for you? That's a crucial conversation. It's not a super easy conversation to have, but I hope you can feel how much more respectful that is than what we often see, which is an email that says, hey, your report late again. Make sure it's finished. There's a time and a place for that, but it's after crucial conversations. It's after working together to solve an issue. You'll notice if you've listened to, and I sure hope you have, the earlier episode about what accountability really is and the accountability triangle, this is how you have the conversation inside of the accountability triangle setup. There are so many wonderful things that come out of having crucial conversations like this, results that really matter. Very frequently, everybody in the conversation is way more clear about the outcome. The request or the expectation is far more specific and either agreed to or negotiated through. The negotiation framework episode if you have any questions about that. And the follow through and the follow up from a crucial conversation is significantly higher than throwing out demands and throwing out expectations without a conversation. And then very importantly, this kind of important, difficult, hard conversation, it builds trust and it builds clarity, which is part 1 of the Build Your Brave framework. It all comes together. One of the results can also be more clarity that the solution isn't possible. Frequently, people want to escalate before having a crucial conversation. This happened to me a lot when I was running major projects. Someone in my team would escalate to me, and it took me a while, and someone on my career board of directors, to point out to me that the solution always has to be a conversation between the two people, groups or entities who are struggling, or escalation. So I learned to say, here comes another role model for crucial conversation. Thank you for bringing this to me. It's really important I understand balls are being dropped or where there's a difference of understanding and delivery. My request is, of course, everyone talks directly to each other before I get involved. So when you brought this concern to the person or to the group you're unhappy with that isn't delivering the way you expect, what did they respond with? Those were just the 4 steps: appreciation, context and understanding, request and expectation, and then a question so the conversation can continue. Now, if that conversation had never happened, if there hadn't been a crucial conversation, then I sent the person who has escalated to me off to have that conversation. It's important to me that I know. So after that conversation, if there's any sort of support you need, please do let me know. But sometimes a solution isn't possible. You've had the crucial conversation, shared your context, your understanding, your request, your expectation, you've asked the question, and there just isn't any collaboration. This is where we go back to the accountability triangle. And this is when you absolutely escalate, because you don't control other people. You don't do their jobs. And when you're escalating, guess what? You use the crucial conversation framework again. All right. It's a very dynamic, very supportive framework. So I'm sure as you've been listening to this, you've thought of 1 or 2 conversations that could really benefit from this framework. So your homework this week from this episode is to go out, have that conversation, and then let me know your experience. Email me at Nicole@tricksteinbach.com. Until next week, brave it up. Hey, before you go, our fellow women in tech really need these insights. So do them a favor, hop on over and leave a rating and a review on your favorite podcast platform. Help them find the Celebrate Brave podcast. All right, thanks a bunch. Until next time, brave it up.